Why the most beautiful women, the ones who turn heads in every room, are often the loneliest. Why the wealthiest, most successful men, the ones with everything, still go to bed with no one to hold. It's not because they can't have love. It's because most people don't understand what real love is. See, when a woman becomes so attractive, not just in looks, but in mind and energy, she intimidates the average man. And when a man becomes so powerful, so wealthy, so full of purpose, most women don't want him, they want what he can give. You know, sometimes life looks perfect on the outside, but when you look closer, you realize that everything isn't always as it seems. A beautiful woman walking into a room, heads turn, eyes follow. A man who's built empires, his presence alone commands respect. Yet what's behind that perfection? What's hiding beneath that polished exterior? They say that beauty and success are gifts, but sometimes these gifts can become burdens. And I know many of you might be thinking, how could someone with everything still feel lonely? Well, here's the truth that no one really talks about. Real love has nothing to do with how you look or how much you have. We all crave connection, not the kind where people see you as a trophy or a status symbol, not the kind where your value is based on a number in your bank account or the number of likes you get on your posts. Real connection is about someone seeing you, truly seeing you for everything you are. Your soul, your essence, your imperfections. And here's the hard truth, it's rare. We live in a world that's quick to judge based on surface appearances. If you're attractive, people think you have it all. If you're successful, people assume you've reached the pinnacle of happiness. But let me ask you something. How many times have you been told that you're beautiful, but deep down, you feel like no one really knows you? Or how many times have you been told that your success is everything, but you still go to bed at night feeling empty? When you're stunningly beautiful or incredibly successful, people often treat you like an object. You're not seen as a whole person. You're viewed as a reflection of someone else's desires, something to be admired, something to be possessed. And that's not love, it's admiration, but it's conditional. It's admiration based on the idea of what you can offer, not who you are. Here's the thing, a lot of beautiful women stay single, not because they want to be alone, but because they get tired of being treated as if their worth is tied only to their looks. It's exhausting. Imagine always being the center of attention for all the wrong reasons. Yes, the compliments are nice at first. Yes, the attention feels good, but over time you start to realize that it's all surface level. People fall in love with the idea of you, the flawless, the perfect, the unreachably beautiful. But who are you really? Who are you when the lights are off, when the makeup comes off, and when you're no longer a picture-perfect version of yourself? The same goes for men who've built their empires. They've climbed the corporate ladder, they've made their millions, they've earned the respect of everyone in the room. But here's the thing about being at the top, it can be a lonely place. The more you have, the more people start seeing you as a means to an end. How many of you have been in a relationship where you felt like someone was more interested in your success than in your heart? They weren't drawn to your kindness, your compassion, or your dreams. They were drawn to your wealth, your status, or what you could give them. Let's face it, no one wants to be loved for what they have. People want to be loved for who they are. And for those of you who are incredibly successful, incredibly beautiful, or both, you understand what I'm saying. You've probably been in situations where someone has tried to get close to you, not because they wanted to connect with your spirit, but because they saw an opportunity to use you. And that's not love. That's exploitation. It's natural to want to feel wanted. It's natural to crave affection, companionship, and intimacy. But here's the reality. The more you have, the harder it is to find someone who wants to connect with you for the right reason. So many of you beautiful women and successful men have felt the ache of loneliness, not because you're not worthy of love, but because the world is obsessed with your image, not your soul. It takes a strong person to remain single in a world that constantly tells you that being alone is somehow less than. But here's the thing, choosing to be single isn't a weakness, it's a strength. It's an act of self-love and self-respect. You choose to wait for someone who sees beyond your looks or your wealth, someone who sees your heart, your pain, your dreams, and your potential, someone who doesn't just like you, but who understands you. And you know what? That's a beautiful place to be. It's better to be single and wait for the right person than to settle for someone who can't appreciate you fully. It's better to take the time to heal, to grow, and to prepare yourself for the love you truly deserve. Because the reality is, when you've reached a certain level of success or beauty, you've probably been hurt a few times. People have used you, taken advantage of you, and left you feeling broken. But don't let those experiences shape your belief that love doesn't exist. True love does exist, but it doesn't come from people who only want to love you for what you have to offer on the outside. Think about it. The most powerful love in the world is the love that doesn't require you to prove anything. It's the love that accepts you for who you are, imperfections and all. It's the love that doesn't come with conditions or expectations. It's the kind of love that only the Creator can truly give. The kind of love that sees you as a whole person and not just as an object of desire. I know some of you might feel like this is a hard truth to swallow, but I want you to understand something deep within your soul. You are worth more than what you appear to be. You are worth more than your looks, your bank account, your accomplishments. Your worth is intrinsic. It comes from within. It comes from the Creator, the one who designed you and shaped you with purpose. So don't ever feel like you have to compromise on your standards or settle for a love that isn't pure, a love that isn't real. When you truly understand your worth, you stop searching for validation in all the wrong places. You stop seeking attention from people who don't care about the essence of who you are. And instead, you begin to wait for the one person who sees you as you are, beautiful, successful, and worthy of everything that God has planned for you. If you're hot, if you're rich, if you're powerful, your value is not tied to what people can take from you. Your value is tied to who you are in the eyes of God. And let me tell you, you are more precious than gold. You deserve love that sees past the exterior and into your soul. And trust me, when that kind of love comes along, you'll know it. It will feel different. It will feel real. It will be everything you've been waiting for. So let me say this to all the beautiful women and successful men out there who feel alone, who feel unseen. Your time will come. But until then, be patient with yourself. Protect your peace. Trust that the Creator has a plan that is better than anything you could ever imagine. And when the right person comes along, someone who sees you not just for your beauty or wealth, but for the incredible person you are, you will know. You will feel it in your soul. You know, when you start climbing higher in life, whether it's building wealth, achieving success, or just becoming the best version of yourself, something strange that happens. People start to look at you differently. They don't see the real you anymore. They see what you have. And that's the problem, isn't it? It's not you they're drawn to. It's what you can give, what you can provide. The minute they realize you have something they want, suddenly everyone wants to be around you. But what happens when they don't want to know you? Just what you can do for them. It leaves you asking yourself a simple question. Are people really interested in me, or are they just interested in what I can offer? This is the dark side of success. It's the fear of being used. When you're a beautiful woman, when you're a powerful man, when you've built something, anything of value, it's like your worth becomes tied not to your heart, but to your possessions, to your status. And that's a scary feeling, let me tell you, because who can you trust when everything around you feels like a transaction? Who can you believe when you know that some people would drop you the second your wealth or your looks disappear? It's that fear of exploitation that keeps many rich men and stunning women alone. It's the fear of being seen as a prize to be won rather than a soul to be loved. It's the nagging thought in the back of your mind that wonders if someone will ever love you, not for your looks, not for your money, but for the depth of your spirit, your values, your kindness, and your heart. I know some of you are probably thinking, but I'm successful. I've worked hard for this. Why should I have to hide my success? Why should I downplay it? And let me tell you, it's not about hiding who you are or being ashamed of your accomplishments. What it's about is protecting your peace. It's about protecting your energy, your soul, and your spirit from people who want to take advantage of you. The minute you start attracting the wrong kind of people who want to get close to you for selfish reasons, that's when the walls start going up. And those walls aren't just to protect your wealth or your looks. Those walls are there to protect your heart. Because when you've been burned by people who pretended to love you but were only after what you could give them, you start to become more cautious. You start to question everyone's intentions. You start to wonder, are they here for me or are they just here for the benefits? And I get it, I do. It's painful to feel like your success or your beauty is a barrier to love, to feel like you can't have a genuine connection because people only see you for what you have and not for who you are. But here's the truth. You deserve more than that. You deserve to be seen, to be valued, to be loved for the person you are at your core, not just for your external assets. This is the price of success, the price of beauty. It's not easy. It's not glamorous. It's not always the fairy tale that people think it is. When you've built something meaningful, a career, a business, a reputation, you have to deal with the reality that people will approach you for all the wrong reasons. And that makes it hard to trust. It makes it hard to know who is real and who is just here for the ride. But I want you to understand this. Being cautious is not a weakness, it's a sign of wisdom. It's a sign that you've learned to protect what matters. And that protection isn't just about your wealth or your looks, it's about your heart. Because once people start taking, once they start exploiting you, it's not just your bank account that suffers, it's your spirit. And the longer you let people drain your energy for their own gain, the more exhausted and empty you feel. There's this feeling of isolation that comes with success. It's not something that most people talk about, but it's real. When you've reached a certain level of success or beauty, the number of people who truly see you, the real you, starts to shrink. People don't know how to handle it. They don't know how to connect with you without feeling like they're getting something from you. And it's exhausting, it's tiring to constantly put up walls, to constantly wonder whether someone truly cares or if they just want something from you. But let me ask you this, what would it feel like to have someone in your life who truly appreciates you for you? Not for your money, not for your looks, not for your status, but for your heart, your kindness, your personality, your unique energy. What would it feel like to have someone who doesn't see you as an object to be admired, but as a partner to share life with? That's the kind of connection that everyone, whether rich or beautiful, deserves. But it's rare, and that rarity makes it all the more precious. The fear of being used doesn't just come from the obvious people who might want something from you. It comes from the subtle ways people treat you differently when they know you're successful. It's in the way they ask for favors, the way they look at you with expectation, the way they linger around you for what they can gain. It's all transactional, and eventually you start to realize, if this is what relationships are, then I'd rather be alone. But let's be clear about something. Being alone doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're unworthy of love. In fact, it often means you're choosing to protect yourself from people who aren't in it for the right reasons. Choosing to be alone when you have so much to offer takes strength. It takes a certain level of courage to say, I'm not just going to settle for anyone. I'm going to wait for the person who sees me for who I really am, for my heart, my spirit, and my soul. And let me tell you this, that person will come. The person who will love you for who you are, not for what you have, is out there. But they won't come until you've healed, until you've learned to protect your peace, and until you've learned to trust in your own worth. You deserve someone who will love you for the right reasons. Someone who sees your beauty, your success, your power, and appreciates it, but still wants to know the person behind all that. Someone who isn't intimidated by your wealth, your looks, or your state. Someone who sees you as a whole person, worthy of love and respect, not just as a symbol of success or beauty. So if you're feeling like the fear of being used is keeping you from opening up to love, remember this. You don't have to settle. You don't have to give yourself to people who don't deserve you. You have the right to be cautious, to be protective of your heart, and to wait for the kind of love that doesn't come with conditions, but with understanding. Trust in yourself, trust in your worth, and trust that when the right person comes along, they will value you for exactly who you are, not for what you can give them, but for the love, wisdom, and strength you carry within you. Do you ever get to the point in life where you start questioning everything around you? Where you start wondering, what's the point of all this? Why do I feel like I've got everything, but somehow nothing feels right? If you've been in this space, I hear you. It's a tough place to be, and I know that many of you, especially if you've achieved some level of success, can relate to this feeling of being drained, not by what you've achieved, but by the constant emotional and mental exhaustion that comes from always having to manage everything and everyone around you. That's the thing that no one tells you about success or beauty. It takes a lot of energy to maintain it. When you have everything, when you're at the top of your game, or when people are constantly admiring your appearance, you start to notice that everyone wants a piece of you. It's as if your life is no longer your own. Every time someone reaches out to you, every time someone asks for something, there's that thought in the back of your mind, what do they want now? And the problem with that is it wears you down. It takes your energy, it zaps your peace, and after a while, you feel like you're just running on fumes. You become so caught up in everyone else's demands and needs that you forget to take care of yourself. And that's why so many beautiful women and successful men choose to stay single. Even when they're surrounded by people, they'd rather be alone than continue to share their lives with people who are just looking to take. They'd rather protect their peace, guard their energy, and focus on what truly matters to them. And trust me, it's not an easy choice. It's a choice that takes strength, it takes wisdom, because it means saying no to the noise of the world and yes to your own inner peace. Here's the thing, your peace is everything. Without peace, you don't have anything. Without peace, all the wealth, all the beauty, all the success in the world is meaningless. And when you've reached a certain level of success, or when you've attained a certain standard of beauty, people will pull at you from every direction. They want something. They want your time. They want your attention. They want your energy. But they don't always consider the price that you pay to give them those things. Let me tell you something about maintaining your peace. It's not just about avoiding people or staying away from drama. It's about setting boundaries. It's about knowing that you have the right to protect your energy. You have the right to say, I'm not going to let this situation or this person drain me. I'm not going to give my time to something or someone that doesn't align with my well-being. And for many successful people, for many beautiful women, this is the hardest part. Because society tells us that we're supposed to give. We're supposed to be generous with our time, with our resources, with our love. And while that's true, we also need to be generous with ourselves. When you've achieved a certain level of success or beauty, you start realizing that not everyone deserves a piece of you. You start realizing that you don't have to give your energy to everyone who asks for it. Not everyone who approaches you with a request is coming from a place of genuine love or care. Some people come to you because they know you can provide something for them. And that's where the exhaustion starts. You give and give and give, but it never feels like enough. And eventually you find yourself feeling empty. You find yourself feeling like you're giving away pieces of yourself to people who don't appreciate it, to people who don't truly see you for who you are. That's why the decision to stay single becomes easier over time. It's a way to protect yourself from the constant pull of others. When you're single, you have the space to refocus, to recharge, and to protect your peace. And that's something that many people, especially those who are constantly in the spotlight, don't get to experience. They don't get to experience the peace that comes from being alone. Instead, they're constantly surrounded by people who need something from them, who want something from them, who don't truly understand the value of what it means to be at peace with yourself. And I know some of you might be thinking, but isn't it lonely to be alone? Doesn't it get tiring to be single? And yes, there's a certain kind of loneliness that comes with being single. But let me tell you this, there is a difference between being alone and being lonely. Being alone means you're giving yourself the time and space to grow, to heal, and to protect your peace. Being lonely means you're constantly surrounded by people who don't truly understand you. You can be surrounded by hundreds of people and still feel like no one sees you, no one understands you, no one values you for who you are. That's true loneliness, the kind that comes from giving your energy to people who take but never give anything back. So when you choose to stay single, it's not because you're afraid of being alone. It's because you understand the value of your peace. You understand that it's better to be alone and at peace than to be surrounded by people who drain your energy, who make you feel like you have to constantly prove yourself, who don't appreciate the person you are at your core. I'm not saying it's easy. It's not easy to let go of relationships or situations that drain you. It's not easy to say no when people expect you to say yes. It's not easy to walk away from situations that seem comfortable or familiar, but ultimately take from you more than they give. But the more you protect your peace, the more you realize that your peace is priceless. You can't put a price on the peace that comes from being true to yourself, from taking time to reflect, from setting boundaries and knowing your worth. For many of us, especially those who have experienced success or beauty, we've spent so much of our lives trying to please others, trying to meet everyone else's expectations. And what happens when we do that? We lose ourselves. We forget who we are. We forget what truly matters. And we get to a point where we realize that nothing outside of us can fill that void. The only thing that can fill that void is peace. Peace within ourselves, peace with the choices we've made, and peace with where we are in life. So yes, staying single may seem like a choice to avoid relationships, but in reality, it's a choice to guard your soul. It's a choice to protect the one thing that matters most, your peace. When you protect your peace, you give yourself the space to heal, to grow, and to be ready for the right kind of love when it comes along. But that love can only come when you've taken the time to prioritize yourself, to love yourself first, to respect yourself enough to say no to anything or anyone that doesn't align with your true purpose and your true worth. So, if you're in a season of singleness right now, don't feel like something is wrong with you. Don't feel like you're missing out. You're not. You're simply choosing yourself. You're choosing peace over chaos, stability over drama, and authenticity over superficial connections. And in that choice, you're not just protecting your heart, you're protecting your future. Your peace is sacred, guarded, and when the time comes, the right person will enter your life and they will value your peace, they will protect it, and they will love you for the person you are, not for what you can give them, but for the depth of your soul. And that's a love that's worth waiting for. This segment focuses on the importance of protecting your peace, especially when surrounded by people who may want something from you. It emphasizes the strength required to choose self-care and self-love over pleasing others, creating a deeply empowering message for anyone navigating the pressures of success and beauty. You know, there's this incredible truth that many people fail to realize. Being alone is not the same as being lonely. The world often leads us to believe that in order to feel fulfilled, we need someone else. They tell us that love is the ultimate achievement, that companionship is the only thing that can bring us true happiness. But let me share something important with you. The most important relationship you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. For many of you, especially if you're incredibly successful or have the kind of beauty that turns heads, you might find that people often treat you like you're missing something because you choose to be single. There's this pressure, this expectation that you're supposed to be in a relationship, that your life should look like a fairy tale, a perfect partnership, two people side by side, making life happen. But the reality is, when you've spent so much time working on yourself, developing your strengths, achieving your goals, and becoming the person you are today, sometimes it's just easier and safer to be alone. It's not about being afraid of love or rejecting the idea of being in a relationship. It's about understanding that your peace, your stability, your independence, your sense of self-worth are all too valuable to just give away. And if you don't have that foundation, if you haven't learned how to truly love and respect yourself first, then any relationship you enter will only be built on shaky ground. We often hear people say, you can't love someone else until you love yourself. But that's more than just a catchy phrase, it's a profound truth. When you're a beautiful woman or a successful man, everyone expects you to share your success, your time, your love, and your energy. They expect you to be constantly giving. They don't understand that there's a cost to all of this. They don't understand the toll it takes to constantly show up, to constantly be on, to constantly be there for everyone else. What they don't realize is that sometimes you just need a break. You need time to recharge, to rest, and to remind yourself of who you are when the noise fades away. When you've built something, whether it's wealth, a successful career, a reputation, people often approach you because of what you've created. They see the outer package, they see the success, the beauty, the achievements, and they want to be a part of it. But not everyone who wants to be part of your life is interested in who you are as a person. In fact, most people just want to be around for the perks. They want your attention, they want your time, and they want what you can offer. They don't necessarily care about your feelings, your dreams, your struggles. And that's what makes it so hard to trust. But here's the truth you need to understand. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. Being single doesn't mean you're incomplete. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. Being single, especially when you're in a place of success or beauty, is often a reflection of self-respect. It's about making the decision to protect yourself, your time, your energy, your heart, until you find someone who truly sees you for who you are, not for what you can do for them. When you choose to stay single, you choose peace. You choose to protect your emotional well-being from those who would drain you without hesitation. You choose to be selective about who enters your life, who you allow to take from you, and who you invite to share in your world. And it's not about being cold or distant, but about being discerning, about knowing what your heart truly needs. In today's world, we're constantly told that being in a relationship is the ultimate goal. But when you're successful or stunningly beautiful, you realize that sometimes the best way to protect your energy and your peace is by saying, I'm not interested in being with just anyone. I'm interested in someone who can see me for who I truly am, who understands my worth, and who doesn't take advantage of what I have to offer. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that love will fill the emptiness. But that's not always the case. Love doesn't heal everything, and love isn't always a solution to loneliness. You can feel alone in a relationship just as much as you can feel alone by yourself. And let me tell you, I understand the temptation to want to rush into something. I understand the desire to fill that empty space in your heart, to find someone who can complete you, to find that connection that makes you feel understood. But here's the key, you don't need someone else to complete you. You are already complete, you are already whole. When you take the time to build yourself, to strengthen yourself, and to truly invest in your own happiness, you realize that the right person will add to your life, not complete it. And that's an important distinction. When you're alone, you have the space to discover who you truly are. You get to learn what you love, what you need, what makes you happy, and what drains you. You get to spend time focusing on yourself, not because you're avoiding relationships, but because you're building a solid foundation for the kind of love you want to experience. When you're single, it's the perfect opportunity to grow, to reflect, and to refine your understanding of your values, your priorities, and what you truly want from a partnership. And here's what happens. When you've built that solid foundation, when you've healed, when you've found peace within yourself, and when you've created the life that you truly want, that's when love has the space to flourish. That's when the right person will come along, not to fill a void, but to enhance the beautiful life you've already built. You'll be in a relationship not because you need someone, but because you want someone who adds value to your life. And that, my friend, is the kind of relationship that will last. That's the kind of love that will stand the test of time. Until that person comes, don't let the pressure of society, of people around you, convince you that you need someone else to be complete. You are enough. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is take a step back and say, I'm going to be with myself right now. I'm going to invest in myself, in my own happiness, in my own peace. And when you do that, you attract the kind of love that is healthy, nurturing, and fulfilling. Remember, it's not about rushing into something just to avoid being single. It's about having the courage to be alone when necessary, to embrace solitude as a time of growth, and to wait for the right kind of love. The kind that respects you, values you, and adds to the life you've worked so hard to build. Don't let the fear of being alone drive you into unhealthy situations. Use this time to build a life you love, and when the right person shows up, they will simply be a bonus of the happiness you've already created for yourself. And when that person arrives, they won't complete you, they'll complement you, they'll add to your life. But the fullness, the peace, the strength, and the joy you experience will come from within. You will have learned that being truly happy and fulfilled doesn't come from another person. It comes from within you.